Drop it on them random.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of That Time in Hip Hop, a podcast about the nostalgia, the history, but more importantly, the preservation of hip hop music and culture. I am your host, Vegas of Hip Hop Now podcast. As always, with me, the partner in crime, Tony Haynes of IntoTheDome.com. Yes, I used his government this time. What's good, man?
Hey man, drinking some water, man. Chilling.
Yeah,
How you, bro?
chilling, man. Good. I got some juice today. And look, I did one. Now you know when you don't reach like elite status of drinking when you buy those ice cubes that they like a globe and shit. They like circle and you put it in the freezer and you just plop that shit in. That shit is like the best invention ever. But it's it's really simple. It just look nice in your drink. You can have multiple drinks with it also because you just got this big round piece of ice in there that just seems to take forever to melt and keeps your drink cold. So,
yeah, you can drink more.
Yeah, right. I did over the weekend though. But yo, if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. If you're a returning viewer or listener, welcome back. You know what I'm saying? This podcast is not only available in video form on YouTube via the B-Roll Network, but also in audio form. All you have to do is go wherever you listen to podcasts and search for Hip Hop Now podcast. And not only will you find my weekly news and perspectives podcast, but on that same feed is this very podcast, That Time in Hip Hop. That's a lot of podcast sayings. But nevertheless, you know what I'm saying? We try to keep it authentic. Try to give you some rumors, some stories, and things of that nature. And we got a very dope show for you today. Just a little plug. The last show we did was pretty dope, I might say. And I usually don't say that about stuff we produce. Not that it's not dope, but you know, we just like to pump out the work. That's for y'all to say. But the last episode was about Too Short and his legacy in the game, and you know how he is kind of the blueprint for longevity. A lot of other things he was a trendsetter on. Definitely want to check that out, man. There's a lot of knowledge there about Too Short if you didn't know, or maybe you only know him from one or two tracks. Check that out. It's That Time in Hip Hop. It's the Too Short episode. But let's get right into this episode. And we like to do a segment called This Week in Hip Hop. And on January 21st, 1965, Jam Master Jay was born. If you don't know who Jam Master Jay is, don't worry. I won't scold you for not knowing. He is the DJ of the legendary hip hop group Run DMC. And you say, you know, it's 2019. You like the DJ. Well, what's so special about that? Well, back then in the 80s, the DJ was the focal point of the group. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't only control the music, but he was almost like, you know, and not in most cases, but almost like the producer, almost like the head, because that's kind of how hip hop started. You know, the DJ was the star and the MC was the person who just kept the people into it and made announcements and stuff like that. But nevertheless, a very influential figure in hip hop beyond his DJing skills, beyond his link with Run DMC. You know, he also helped bring a couple of other cats to the game, like Onyx and 50 Cent. He also was one of the first hip hop artists to really kind of get into their own clothing line with Walkerwear and all of that. So, Mr. Jason Mizell, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, or like Google says, Mizell. I don't think that's right, but definitely salute to him, man. You know, he was murdered a couple of years ago, man. People tend to forget about him. But you should be, if you're a hip hop fan, you should be happy birthday, Jason Mizell, Jam Master Jay, and happy birthday. I mean, you know, rest in peace. Just the same way we do with Tupac and Biggie and Pun and everybody that we remember. How can we forget Jam Master Jay? Tone, man, Jam Master Jay. It would have been his birthday on January 21st, man. What's your words about that, man?
Man. You know, Jam Master Jay, you know, being almost 44 years old, man, again, like I always say on certain shows, Run DMC were my favorite rap group then transitioned into BPMD, then it transitioned into a Tribe Called Quest. So as a young guy, when my brother was DJing in the early 80s and doing little parties in the neighborhood, having his boombox, it was all about Run DMC. And obviously, if it's about Run DMC, it's about Jam Master Jay, because really Jam Master Jay was the look of Run DMC. He created the look of Run DMC. So when you see the Shelter, Adidas, the dope B-boy leather and all the hats and all, that was Jay. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of artists at the time were dressing like Grandmaster Flash, and you know they had some suspect outfits on, man. You know what I'm saying? And Jam Master Jay was kind of street dude, cool dude with streets. You know what I'm saying? He brought that swag to Run DMC because they had another DJ at one point, and they were introduced to Jay, and Jay had the swag because Ron used to be a DJ. A lot of people don't understand. If you listen to a lot of early Run DMC albums, he called himself DJ Run. And a lot of people
Run, yeah.
If you go back and listen to it now, he'd be like, I'm DJ Run and this DMC, you know what I'm saying? So DJ Run used to DJ for Curtis Blow, you know what I'm saying? So we can do another whole show about this, and it'll come with Run DMC, and I'll be excited about that. But as nevertheless, Jam Master Jay, man, legend in the game. He had scratching parts on the albums and had songs called Jam Master Jay. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, he was a star. You know what I mean? He's one of the first stars. Jam Master Jay, Grandmaster Flash, and a few other guys. They became stars because, like Vague said, back then, the DJ was popular. You know what I'm saying? Like the DJ set it off, and the MC at some point ended up becoming the front man for the group. But Jam Master Jay was a star, man, and he's a pillar in hip hop history. And unfortunate death, murder of Jam Master Jay in his studio early 2000s. Just real quick, I remember watching a video on Vlad TV with Sticky Fingers and Fredro, and when Vlad asked about him, you can still tell those guys was very hurt because they really appreciated what Jay did for them. And Sticky Fingers was like, yeah, move on, man. I can't talk about it. So Fredro kind of talked about when he found out Jay had gotten killed, and a lot of rumors, and as far as like his affiliation with 50 Cent and 50 Cent's street situations with the Supreme Team allegedly and stuff like that, and what really caused Jay's murder, man. But rest in peace to Jam Master Jay, and you hate to hear what happened to him, leaving a wife and kids and stuff like that, man. And we'll always show respect and love for Jam Master Jay, man. Legend.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And like, if for people who, you hear we're talking about, this week in hip hop, and we talk about Jam Master Jay, who was murdered, and you look at what this episode is about, please believe this episode is about celebrating these two individuals. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who we mention who has passed on is all about celebrating them, including those who are still here with us, you know what I'm saying, whether they're popping or not. So happy birthday to Jam Master Jay, man, a legendary DJ in the game. He has enough material out there beyond the music for you to see who he was, to get a good idea of who he was and what he meant to the game. And, and you can watch artists who you're familiar with talk about him, you know what I'm saying? And, he was a dude that a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, was cool with. And also on Netflix, there's a documentary called Who Killed Jay, which I felt like I didn't get a chance to look at it yet. It's on my list. Like,
please do.
But it was one thing that I was calling for, because I was just like, yo, man, I want Tupac's murder and Biggie's murder and all of that, Big Al and all that, to get solved, you know what I'm saying, or get some resolution at least in most cases. And I felt like, we never heard about Jam Master Jay. It was kind of like, this is the situation, this is what happened, and years passed before anybody at least tried to bring it to light. So, like me, go check out that documentary. Salute that man, Jam Master Jay. Leave your comments in the comment section below, whether you've seen the documentary, your thoughts on Jam Master Jay and what he brought to the game. Leave it the comments in the comment section below. We'll check them out. We respond all the time, man. So it's all good. But let's get right into the program at hand. And we're going to talk about a man who did enough in the game for people to remember him. But unfortunately, you know, things happen, and you know, it ended before he really got a chance to really pop. But we are here to celebrate his memory and his contribution to the game. It's none other than that man back there, Tone. Let's get into this, man. What we here to talk about?
Well, you know, I was glad when I looked at our rundown for the early part of this year and saw Big L name, man, Lamont Coleman. So let me first say I thank God for the internet, because the internet has given a lot of fans, new and old, the chance to go back and really listen to Big L's music, you know, freestyles, a lot of songs from his first two albums, unreleased joints like that, because he's an underground legend for people who are really hip hop heads in the early and mid 90s. A lot of casual fans might have heard the name Big L, but they didn't understand the name Big L. They didn't really understand how nice he actually was and how respected he was by some mainstream artists and some legends. You know, now people are finding this stuff out now, man. But Big L, for me, I remember hearing Big L vague on like Showing AG's joint Runaway early 90s. And I remember hearing on Lord Finesse joint. Because he had ended up meeting, he had ended up meeting Lord Finesse at some like signing, some autograph signing, and like freestyle for Finesse. And then I think at that time they became acquaintances and stuff like that. And he started taking them around saying, yo, this young dude is real nice. This is like 90, 91, you know, and then of course introducing him to Showing AG and the whole DITC Fat Joe, you know, and all those guys, OC even. You know, so that's the early times, man. I remember hearing him rap. I was like, yeah, the dude can rap. You know what I'm saying? He's nice. He's got nice voice, real sick flow. Kind of reminded me a little bit of like a little bit of Coogee rap, a little bit of man, just he had a lot of different flows, a lot of different flavors. So at the beginning, you know, G Rap was one of the ones that made me, you know, I thought about him in the same vein to a degree. But yeah, man, then what happened was I heard Put It On Big L. You know what I'm saying, with Kid Capri, you know, and MVP. You know, I heard those joints first because they were a single that came out or was released almost a year before his debut, Lifestyle of Porn Dangerous, came out like 95, man. But anyway, my first initial thought of Big L, we'll get deeper into his career and everything, was dude is nice. You know what I'm saying? I like these two tracks. I like the earlier joints with Showing AG and Finesse. I kind of thought he had a whole opportunity to be something big, man. So what was your first initial thought when you heard Big L? Do you remember the first song you heard by L or line or anything like that?
Yeah, I think the first time I heard him, or at least I, you know, looked at the track list and to see his name, was on Lord Finesse joint, Yes You May. And I think, you know, I was a Lord Finesse fan. You know, they had the Funky Technician and the joint. You know what I'm saying? And I remember, you know, this was Lord Finesse sophomore album, and I kind of liked it better. But I remember when that Yes You May joint came on, I was like, damn, who's this other dude? You know what I'm saying? Because he had a confidence in his flow. He had an aggression in his flow that was different from Lord Finesse. Lord Finesse kind of rhyme cool, you know what I'm saying? Like his flow is kind of laid back the way he approaches it. And Big L was just like, he was hungry, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it stood out to me, you know what I'm saying? I guess I felt like, damn, I think I like his verse better than Lord Finesse, and I don't even know who he is, you know what I'm saying? But then like I heard Put It On with Kid Capri, and you know, then I don't think I put two and two together that this was the same cat, because I think the Kid Capri connection kind of made me look at it more, and then I just looked at, oh, this dude is all right, you know, who's this? But it really wasn't until the MVP remix that I was like, damn, who is this cat again? Like Big Al, this dude is nice. He from Harlem. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of those things where, and look, this is the crazy thing, y'all. we ain't even get into like some of his best stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Not yet.
We just talking about initially how he struck us, and it was one of those things where, you know, especially at that time, skill level, the bar was being raised, and it felt like dudes that were just nice with the pen were coming from everywhere, every direction. They knew each other, you know what I'm saying? And it was just the surplus of dope MCs, and Big L was, you know, just adding to that, you know, by the time he came out, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, and yeah. Also for people, you know, we just talked about, we didn't really talk about, but we mentioned Put It On the MVP, but go back and check out a joint called Devil's Son also, because Big
Yeah.
L, and that came out like 90, that came out like 93. So it actually came out like right after this demo. It came out before Put It On and MVP, but it's like one of them things where he kind of started that horrorcore rap. You know what I'm saying? Devil's Son was just ill, grimy, crazy story. And, you know, years later, you would hear like the Grave Diggers and people like that still kind of like rapping kind of like horror movie type of rhymes, kind of reminiscing a little bit of pre-Big L with the way the Ghetto Boys did Mind Playing Tricks on You and the way Butchwood Bill was rhyming, you know what I'm saying, and Scarface. So, but he kind of took that with Devil's Son and kind of ran with it. It was a lot more detailed and lyrical because Big L was very lyrical. And like Big said, we're talking about 92 right now, 92 to 95 to his debut. During those 3 years, you can imagine in New York, Nas that dropped Halftime, and it's Illmatic, Biggie and Ready to Die, and Redman, Method Man, you know, the Wu-Tang Clan, and you know, you had the rise of Boot Camp Click and all these other crews and stuff like that. And don't get it twisted, Big L was right there with them. Now, for you casual fans, you might not understand the impact, but let me give you an example. A few years ago, interviewed Nas, and Nas talked about, because Big L was on the radar of MCs, and Nas talked about like, hey, when he heard L, he was like, man, if that's what I got to go up against, that dude got me scared to death, man. So for you guys, I'm not just spitting some hyperbole on this podcast. Go to YouTube when we finish and just put in Nas Speaks on Big L, and you can listen to the interview with Funk Flex, and Nas literally said, dude had me scared, man, because what happened back in, I think, maybe it was Apollo or somewhere, all these guys performed together, Nas, Big L, Fat Joe, and some other guys early in their career. You know what I'm saying? And Nas had peeped him out. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Nas said what he said, because, you know, L was spitting flames. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it was. And so also real quick, and we'll get into this as well, during that same time when Nas looked at Big L like that, Big L started bringing this other guy from Brooklyn around to radio stations to rhyme with him, and people didn't know who this guy was to a degree at the time. His name was Sean Carter, who you guys know as Jay-Z. Now, a lot of guys now, because of the internet, have heard the 95 freestyle with Big L and Jay-Z. You know, he said, I got my man Jay-Z in here. And he was also talking about Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, his first album on Columbia Records. And Jay-Z was on a song called The Graveyard, you know what I mean? And so he was riding with L at the time, you know what I'm saying? And L was putting them on and telling everybody about them and things of that nature. So, and again, you know, this is another now legendary MC who fast forwarding had big plans for Big L that we'll get into later, man. But I just wanted to say that to say all of these guys at that time, they noticed the skill level of Big L leading up to Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, man.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a testament of the time, man. Like we said, like as fans, you know, I really like fans were one and the same with the artists. You know what I'm saying? More artists that were, you know, penning these dope rhymes were thinking like the fans, like, you know, these dudes are nice. Who's better? You know what I'm saying? And all of it kind of fed off of each other. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily in a way where now you have more cats who will make tracks that are similar to each other, if not straight up copies. But back then, people were encouraged by it. You know what I'm saying? And it you know, still sharp and still. It was one of those things where it was like, you know, not only if I do a track with this cat, but when I look at what he's putting out and what he's writing and what he's coming up with, I need to meet him or surpass him in that way. And Big L was dangerous because Big L just sound like Big L reminds me a lot of Run from Run DMC in a way of confidence. When you watch like the video for Whose House and you see Run kicking his rhymes, Run don't care who the hell is in the video, who's at the shoot. He's in mode, and he feels like everything that's coming out of his mouth, rapping wise, is the best shit ever. You know what I'm saying? And you get that with Big L. You get a dude who knew when he wrote this, it was hot. Knew when you heard it, it was hot. And you know, he was just extremely confident in his rapping skills. And you know, early Jay-Z that was rapping like the Fushnikins was right there, you know, trying to get on, trying to be a part of this wave of MCs, nice in his own right, even when he was rapping.
And you know what?
Fushnikins. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
Oh yeah, I mean to disrupt. But also, if you listen to some of that early '90s Big L, you hear Jay-Z got some influence. He got Big L had influenced Jay some. You know what I'm saying? Because
absolutely,
he kind of had some of Jay kind of had some of Big L's rhyme flow, rhyme patterns. You know, and that was a testament of Big L. And I also be remiss if I didn't talk about just briefly, you know, lifestyle of Poor and Dangerous. Big L had several little groups and cliques that he was rhyming with, but one of them has a few notable people in it. A group called Children of the Corn, you know, and if you guys didn't know that Big L is the first like popular spitter out of Harlem. But with Children of the Corn, there's this guy named Mace, you might have heard of, this guy named Cameron, you heard of, and then Cam's fam called Bloodshed, and Bloodshed ended up dying in a car accident or something like that. He ended up disbanding somewhat, and everybody started doing their own thing. And you know, at the time, Mace and Cameron was still playing basketball, but Big L brought them under his wing, and you know, they rhymed with him. And around 2003, they ended up releasing like a mixtape of a lot of the tracks that Children of the Corn did together. Of course, it was Killer Cam at the time, and of course it was Murder Mace at the time. And, you know, L is Miguel Corleone, you know, so that's how it was. And so they had some promise, but like I said, you know, with Bloodshed passing away and some other things going on in Harlem at the time, they ended up doing their own thing, but always stayed cool, you know.
Look,
so, but that's
we'd be remiss if we leave out McGruff, who was also a part of that.
Also, absolutely, McGruff was nice.
That dude.
Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yeah,
and he later, like in the '90s, he had a hit, I believe. I can't remember what.
Yep, he did.
He had a hit. But like for people who, you know, hear about this mixtape or whatever, I didn't, you know, I had maybe 2 of the songs in a freestyle back when they were doing it. But one that, you know, is pretty popular and floats around, and Bloodshed is actually on it, rhyming with McGruff and Big L and all of them, is American Dream. And I remember hearing that, saying like, damn, these dudes is all right. And like Tone said, Murder Mace. Don't forget, Mace is actually a good spitter as a rhyme, as an MC. It's just that he signed with Bad Boy, and Puff had a different vision for him. So he's not.
Yeah, Mace can really rap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Home guys can rap.
Yeah, exactly, and rap well enough to ghostwrite for a couple of people. Well, we gonna go past that. But
no doubt.
What did you so you know, we all heard about Big L in the early '90s, and you know, we always feel like this dude is dope. We ain't seen the video. The album kind of comes out later than it should, given the fact that the single had been out. What did you think about Big L's debut album? What is it? Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous?
Yes, that's correct. 95. And look, 1995, you guys want to just Google 1995 in hip hop, you'll actually see there's a list of some amazing albums that year. You know what I'm saying? It was an amazing time for hip hop. I have mixed emotions about Lifestyle of the Poor and Dangerous because I went to the record store and I bought the album. Of course, lyrically, it's potent all the way through. Everybody's on there. Jay-Z, young Jay-Z is on there. When I say young in the game, I think Cam was on the track and a bunch of people from Harlem on there. Of course, McGruff and all those guys, they all on there. But you know, I was hoping that his debut would fit his skill level, and it doesn't always happen. Lifestyle was not a dud. It was not a whack album. It was not like disappointing like that. It was just solid to me. And for me, seeing someone with that type of skill set, solid wasn't good enough. You know what I mean? So I mean, it had Put It On, had MVP on there, Devil's Son. It had my favorite Big L song probably to this day called Street Struck. You know, and there's a line in Street Struck when he say, you better listen to L. Rhymes because being street struck will get you nothing but a bullet or jail time. And it's like looking at his life, you know what I mean? The way he rhymed in that song, it's almost like he was telling about what's going to happen to him. You know, it's kind of eerie in listeners to go back and listen to Street Struck off of Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous. And it sounds like his own life he's talking about, you know, and of course he died 4 years later after Street Struck. But and also there's supposed to be a documentary called Street Struck. They showed a trailer of it several years ago, but it never manifested in anything. It's kind of lost in limbo. What his childhood friend was doing. They had 9 hours worth of footage. They condensed down to an hour and 20-minute documentary, and it never came to fruition. So I you know, hopefully at some point, man, people will be able to get that and see his life for what it was, man. But you know, Lifestyles was a good album. I thought the production was kind of dim. I thought that you know, left the production side left a lot to be desired, and that hurt the potency of his lyrics, man. So, you know, looking back at L's life and things like that, I wanted his debut to be, you know, Illmatic, Ready to Die, Reasonable Doubt. You know, 36 Chambers, and I know some people might listen and say, well, those are classic albums. Well, he's a classic MC, and he could have done that type of work. He could have had that type of album, but he didn't have the beats. And then Columbia ended up dropping him shortly after Lifestyles. But he was saying, it's been quoted that he said they didn't know what to do with his music, man. So that's when he started trying to do flamboyant lifestyle, a flamboyant independent label, independent thing. He started trying to move on because he's like, man, they not seeing my vision. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, man, he didn't get a chance as far as his debut to have the impact that it should have had. I mean, I think he ended up moving, as of right now, a little over 200,000 copies at the time. You know, it didn't sell like that, you know, things of that nature, man. But it was a dope album, but it wasn't a classic. And he should have had a classic coming out the gate because he was that good, man. So yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head because I felt like I didn't like it, but why I didn't like it was exactly for the same reason you said. The anticipation for a dude this nice was through the roof. And typically around that time, like you named, all those albums from Black Moon to eventually Mobb Deep and Wu-Tang and Biggie, they were meeting expectations. You know what I'm saying? Expectations were high and they were being met lyrically, production-wise, everything. And it felt like with Big L, because it didn't take that long to come out, but it took too long to come out for the time period. It felt like it was a step back from the releases that were out around that time because it was essentially something that should have came out maybe a year ago. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't. And I think, like you said, the production kind of felt like it didn't live up to expectations in regards to what he was doing as an MC, because Big L does his job on the entire album. It's one of those cases where you can't say Big L is at fault. You know, some people may feel like, you know, because he's a spitter, you know, maybe he can't write songs like that. But most people's debuts, for the most part, are usually rough and raw and don't really contain a bunch of fantastic songwriting, because that's, you know, that comes with time and experience and things like that. But I kind of felt disappointed because along with albums like Illmatic, you know, there was a certain anticipation, there was certain build up, and you kind of felt like you knew what was coming, and a lot of those albums delivered. Whereas with Big L's album, it was a disappointment, and what makes it worse is there's so much heat out at the time. Like Tone said, go ahead and Google 1995. It's so many alternatives. You either not buying it, or you bought it, you listened to it, and now you're listening to something else more because it's more something else because it's more fulfilling. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, even though his debut didn't land the way it should have back then, I feel like with technology, streaming services, we can revisit albums that we heard back then. Maybe they sound a little bit different. Maybe we have a greater appreciation for them. And if you're somebody who never heard of Big L, and you hear people talk about how nice he is, maybe you're not thinking about the beats. Maybe the beats to you just sound like, oh, well, those are the beats of the time. You know, let me listen to these bars. But definitely not a whack album. It wasn't whack to me, in my opinion. I was just really disappointed because I felt like Big L's debut was supposed to be way better than what it was.
So you feel like, you know, just hearing you articulate your thoughts on Big L's album, it kind of reminded me of the way I felt when I heard Myth album. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong, I thought it was dope, but I thought it should have been only been for Cuban Links dope. You know what I'm saying? Not Takao dope. You know what I'm saying? So even though it was dope, you know, it left a lot to be desired. And I think with Big L's situation, I rode to the album a couple of weeks ago in my car to work, and I was like, damn, it does sound pretty dope. But again, when you hold that up against, let's say I left the record store with Lifestyles, and then a month later, Mobb Deep Infamous come out. You see what I'm saying? Then it's like, okay, well, that's pretty dope, but I can't take this Infamous out. You know what I'm saying? So then they get lost in the shuffle, and they get lost in the potency of 1995 hip hop. And honestly, I think more than anything else, I was spoiled by the production on these albums. I think Smith and Wesson Deshaun that came out that year. You know what I mean? Like all these albums with this crazy production. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, imagine if Big L would have rhymed over Havoc beats or the Beatminerz beats. You know what I mean? Or Primo at the time and some Pete Rock and all of this stuff like that. I mean,
like, look, so like what you just said right there, like we know this song is a classic for what it is and who was on it. But just imagine if Big L had the Shook Ones beat. Imagine if that was his single. The whatever. Just go.
Yeah,
people
that's
how that dude was.
Yeah, man. You know, and so when you look past that, and then you go into the second phase of his career, because his career goes from 1991, 92 to 1999 to his death or whatever. You look at that second half of his career. You know, he's working on the big picture. You know, the production is, you know, now he's really on point with, you know, Buck Wild and some of these other guys making beats for him, you know, and Finesse and all of them. So some of the songs that started leaking for the big picture, like Enemy and all of that with Fat Joe, and, you know, tracks with Big Daddy Kane and tracks with Cool G Rap. And now all of these guys, these big dogs who obviously have followed him over his young part of his career, like, dude is nice. So now you 22, 23 years old. You got Big Daddy Kane now on your album. You got Cool G Rap. You got a Tupac verse. You know what I'm saying? You got Fat Joe. You got all these people. You got the beats and stuff ready for the big picture. You know, all of this stuff was going on. You know what I'm saying? And leading up to street situations that stifled all of this, man. So I think he was on his way with the big picture. If you go back and listen to the big picture, that's a very dope album. Like, that would have been his debut. I'd have been like, okay, you know, I'm not saying it's stand up to Mobb Deep and all that, but I'd have been like, yo, that was the one I was waiting for. You know, the big picture's production was more polished. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, he was on his way, man, during that time. Then he started doing these freestyles, and I just might as well go ahead and go to this 98 freestyle, man. Like, a lot of people end up hearing a couple of years ago. I heard it way back, you know, right after that, and I was like, yeah, he still he still got it. You know what I mean? He's still
Mhm.
spitting real hard, and there's a part one and a part two of that 98 freestyle. Just got so many quotables, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you haven't heard it, anyone listening, put in Big L 98 freestyle, and there are quotables for days.
Yeah, he started to personally really set up his comeback, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Because he was kind of dormant.
Exactly.
Like, you know, we know he was rocking with DITC, Digging in the Crates crew, you know, with Lord Finesse and Buck Wild and OC and Fat Joe, Diamond D. We know, you know, he was doing that thing, but you know, when you look at what we just mentioned about the debut and the build up and being somewhat disappointed or being drowned out by everything else that was going on, he started to slowly emerge doing the thing that got him noticed, which was skills. And the 98 freestyle was kind of the setup, because then Ebonics came. And when Ebonics came, then everybody was looking at Big L again, like, yo, yeah, when the next Big L album
Yeah.
coming out? You know what
So
I'm saying?
one quick point.
Yeah.
One quick point, just pre-Ebonics real quick. And this is another recommendation that we talked about a long time ago. So right before 98, 97, OC dropped an amazing album called Jewels. They call it Jewels, however you want to pronounce it. And it was a song called Dangerous on there featuring Big L. So
Yeah.
during that time, Big L and OC became even closer. And so OC took him on a European tour, on a Jewels tour, to open up for him and to be his hype man. So that was kind of really good for Big L, you know, being on stage and being overseas and everything like that. So that was a real good look. And coming back home from that, he kept on working on the big picture and a lot of music. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that was also during that time that Corn and all of them, they really started dispersing, because they were still kind of together, but that was really bloodshed died during that time. But yeah, leading up to Ebonics, man, funny about Ebonics is that's when Dame Dash from Harlem, people know, and him and Big L knew each other, you know, from around the way. The rumor was when Dame heard Ebonics and then Jay heard Ebonics, when Jay and L already, of course, had a relationship, and apparently they stayed kind of cool over all those years. So
Yeah.
when Jay heard Ebonics, he was so impressed. He's like, okay, now it's time. We got to get back with dude, you know what I'm saying, and see what we can do. So they actually started working on a contract for Rockefeller Records. These are facts. Dame have spoke about it on record. And I just recently, again, I've heard it over the years, but I listened to Jay-Z interview about, you can YouTube and listen to JL, and he talks about listening to Ebonics. And the guy was like, well, do you think that he could have been a star? And Jay was like, absolutely. When you can write like that, you know what I mean? You can write big records. You know what I'm saying? So, which also, Vague, made me think about this. Now, feel me on this. Imagine if that, and we're going to talk about Big L's death in details as well, but imagine life is better than anything, than music or anything like that. So just God bless the dead, God bless his family. But let's just say, for the sake, let's say he survived on the music end. Imagine that Rockefeller debut when Big L is rhyming over Just Blaze, Bink, Kanye West, and all of the in-house producers from Rockefeller. You know what I'm saying? And then with Jay-Z's connections again with the Primos and the Pharrells and Timberlands and all that. You know, I'm just sitting there thinking about how, Big Benny Siegel had the truth, and Benny Siegel was dope, but Benny Siegel wasn't Big L.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Big L had every kind of flow mastered. He could rap a slower flow like a Nas. He could rap like Cool G rap. He could rap like, well, Jay-Z could rap like him, excuse me. And he could do everything on the mic. So imagine those dynamic producers producing the big picture. Or the Rockefeller debut. You know what I'm saying? And man, it was so unfortunate that that happened, man, to him.
Yeah, I like when I first heard that Big L was like potentially signing to Rockefeller, man, I was all in, because I was like, finally, he could have the exposure he deserves. He'll have the production he deserves. he gonna be right with the lyrics. We already know that. So it was kind of like his time, you know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I was even excited when Old Dirty signed, because Old Dirty was just so different from everybody in Wu-Tang. You know, they probably would have had something dope too. You know what I'm saying? But I feel you, man. I think what's like even before the big picture, and before he passed away, I think the thing that was kind of terrible about the situation is, again, this is a reality check for those who don't know the music industry. You know what I'm saying? It is not guaranteed. You could be the dopest MC. You could be admired by some of the legends in the game of the past, his present, which was Jay-Z and Nas, and probably Biggie too, and Pun. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be admired by your peers, but yet you still on the block because you got dropped not too long ago. You know what I'm saying? And maybe you have offers, but maybe the offers are, for like 10 albums, and and they want to control certain things, and your points are small. So Big L was kind of like sacrificing a momentum he built up as an MC in the rap game. And I just think it's dope that he kind of took that momentum back in a time that was very different from when we first heard him on some of them early 90s joints, very different from what was out during his debut. This is like the late 90s, you know what I'm saying? East Coast, West Coast beef happened, Biggie and Tupac gone, shiny suits everywhere, Nas Escobar, you know what I'm saying? All types of stuff is going on that's different. Yet Big L is still able to somewhat prevail as an MC and show that skills still matter, regardless of how much money people are making, man. And it's unfortunate that the Rockefeller situation didn't happen, because I felt like it did wonders for Cam. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it did do wonders for Cam. And if I may say real quick, unfortunately, now let's get to a more somber part of the situation. Is the reason why, of course, the Rockefeller deal didn't happen was because Big L got killed. So the rumor is, and I'm just doing some research and me looking around, the rumor was that during that week or that day that he actually died, he was actually going to pass some flyers out for some party that he was going to be at with some guys named Jay-Z and Dame, and they was going to announce the deal for Rockefeller. Now, the problem is Big L was still living a double lifestyle. So he was still living the lyrics out of Street Struck. And one rumor was he had two older brothers. And one rumor was his brother Big Lee had some drama going on in Harlem. And allegedly Big Lee had a hitman to go out against this guy Gerald Woodley or something like that, another one of their childhood friends. The rumor was that Big Lee was sending this guy to scope out the dude Woodley because he was gonna put a hit on him. And also in this rumor, Lamont Big L was with the hitman guy, and so he can go point him out. And so again, the story has been told by different people from Harlem that the guy Woodley and his people saw them and saw when he kind of pointed him out. And so just fast forward, I guess a couple of weeks later, the dude saw Big L and kind of put it together. Like, well, they said he had seen the hitman dude, hanging around Harlem for a couple of days. And, they said, if you know Harlem, everybody know each other. So they're like, who is dude hanging around here? And they say the dude put two and two together, saw Big L walking by himself with those. Allegedly, that was the day he was passing flyers out. A guy named Stan Spitt was telling the story also. He was one of the young guys, came on the camera and all of them, and he was a rhymer as well. And he had a relationship with Big L. And he said he remembered seeing him earlier that day. He was like, yo, I'm gonna get with you later. He's like, yeah, I gotta go pass these flyers out. We got a party. You know what I'm saying? This Rockefeller thing about to pop off. You know what I'm saying? And that was the day they said the hitman drove up on L and they shot this guy 9 times, man. A lot of people don't talk about how his murder was, but it was a very gruesome murder where he got shot 9 times in the face and in the chest. Yeah. And allegedly the guy walked up to him and shot him again in the face so they couldn't have an open casket. So it was very personal. And a rumor is the guy Gerald Woodley allegedly was the shooter. He ended up being questioned about that, but he went to jail for drugs, and he got out. And 2 years ago, he actually got killed. You know, so we
Yeah.
don't know the retaliation for Big L. He died a couple of years ago, and the crazy thing is, there's pictures floating all over. You can Google. They're in a lot of pictures together. Big L,
Yep.
his brother, the guy Willie, all they grew up together. They're from the same block. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? He's actually, I think, on the cover of Lifestyle of the Poor and Dangerous. You know what I'm saying? So, and also a little tidbit, you can Google Cameron freestyle. About a year ago, Cameron released a freestyle on Instagram, and he talked about growing up on 139. Then he said grew up with Big L and the dude that supposedly killed him. He said, but a week before that, Big L had tried to kill him. You know what I'm saying? So it's in Cameron's rhyme. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. So that goes back to Big L was with the guy allegedly who was kind of scoping out this particular dude they grew up with, and Big Lee put Big L in the crossfire. Unfortunately, for what people in Harlem and these interviews and stuff that I was watching from seemed like some pretty credible sources, like, unfortunately, I wish Big L would have stuck strictly to his rhyming, but he was still kind of in the streets, and the whole NFL crew in Harlem. There was a lot of drama going on in Harlem. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? It cost him his life, man.
Yeah, it's one of them things where, when it happened, as hip hop fans, obviously, we're upset to hear that, then we think about the potential. We think about how his name was back up. He was hot again. And, we never really, we only think about Big L, the character, you know what I'm saying? We don't think about Lamont, you know what I'm saying? The people who was blocked know his family.
Right.
And things of that nature, and things he might have done in the past or at the present time. And it wasn't until years later I actually knew what the story was, because the rumors before the internet kind of floated around, or before the social media version of the internet, the rumor was more so this was a dude who had beef with Big L's brother and saw Big L,
right,
and and murdered Big L. But people didn't know until recent years that Big L was very involved with that situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you're being accused and people say you were one of the people to point somebody out to get a hit put on them, you might as well be the trigger man in that case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know what I'm saying? So it was one of those things where we all know this man for his talent as an MC, and is difficult sometimes for some of us fans to realize that that's the same person. You know what I'm saying? He's no different. He's a human being. And again, this kind of speaks to what I was talking about with his situation with the record industry. You know what I'm saying? If things had gone a different way, Big L shouldn't be handing out flyers. He shouldn't. That's what street teams are for. You know what I'm saying? Big L shouldn't be
man,
in the hood doing anything like that. But he had to.
You just really wish that. Yeah, you just really wish somebody would have had their arms around him and got him away from that nonsense, man. Another little side story. The guy Stan Spit I was telling you about. So on the movie Belly, do you remember the part when the two young dudes was at the table with DMX and they kind of got into a little spat, and then dude shot dude in the stomach?
Yeah.
So that kid is one of Cameron and them boys. He's a Harlem kid named Stan Spit. He used to ride with some of those guys. He's a younger dude than them, a little younger than them. So what happened was he befriended Big L, and matter of fact, on one of the Hot 97, some freestyle with Big L Wade during that time, he was rhyming. He said, "I got my man Stan with me right there." So that's him. So I listened to Stan interview yesterday. He like, "Yeah, man, it was a big deal when L mentioned me in the freestyle, like at the radio station." He's like, "But L was from my hood, and I knew him. He was he was the big dog around as far as rhyming." He said, "So," he said, "man, when I got the part on Belly," he said, "because initially Shaheem supposed to have done that part on Belly, but something happened." Wow. He said they called him in. He said because he knew DMX a little bit too. He said they called him in. He said he did a little part. He got it. He said, but one day he ran into Lamont, Big L. He said, "Yo, man, I'm going to that shooting up at Belly." He said, I took Big L with me. He said, man, and You know, I'm still thinking this is my homeboy from Harlem. He said, I'm young, so I'm not understanding how respected Big L is. He said, this is my homeboy. I know he's the best rapper right here. But that's all he's thinking. He's thinking just Harlem.
Yeah, locally.
So when they got on the set, he said, man, Nas was all excited like, oh, L, you know what I'm saying? He said, then Puff was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? He said, then DMX again was like, DMX is showing L mad love. He's like, damn. He said, you can listen to this interview. Anyone listening, Stan speaks on Big L, Harlem dude. He like, damn, Big L he really is the man, dog.
Yeah.
You know, he said, so he just felt good. He said he felt like his chest poked out, like I brought Big L up here and all these cats are riding, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Trump and homage. And another little side note, speaking of DMX, that famous battle of DMX and Jay-Z in Harlem that happened, the rumor was Big L was the one that recorded it. You know what I'm saying? But nobody ever got a chance to get the recording, but they said that Big L recorded Jay-Z and DMX battle. You know what I'm saying? So I just thought that was a little side bit for anyone who might not have known that was one of the rumors that L had that. And a couple of rappers, I think, pretty much co-signed that the L was the one recorded this thing, but nobody ever really saw it. You know, I think it's one little clip that leaked one point like years ago. I think it showed Jay-Z standing on top of a pool table. You know what I'm saying? Got a chance to see it. It was full in that pool hall with Harlem and Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? And it was a big deal in the underground at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was dope, man. You know, when all these guys at that time, you know, these are big dogs in the game. We're talking about Nas and DMX and Puff, and they like, oh, hell, shit, you know, whatever. So that just goes again for any listeners to know that, you know, he might have been famous to a lot of people, to casual fans, but for true New York East Coast hip hop heads, they knew very well who Big L was.
Yeah, it's crazy because again, you know, you're talking about a dude who had a buzz off of, you know, freestyles and single here and there and features on other guys' albums, and his album didn't necessarily make the splash it was supposed to make, and he got dropped. And you know, you would think, you know, that's it. He's gone. He's a part of that memory of the 90s with a lot of the other dudes that didn't make it far enough or make it out of the 90s, to be honest. But then again, when you hear stories like him coming to the set of Belly, and here you have Nas, who's at, you know, at the height of his career. DMX is definitely at the height of his career. Height where
absolutely.
All these people and showing mad love to Big L, and you know, and it's not a situation where, you know, it's because he's like some old school artist. You know, these are his peers, and they know what he's capable of. They know what he's done. So it's just very dope, and it speaks to the main point, you know, we want to look at right now. You know, Big L's legacy. What is it? Because in a couple of hip hop circles now, you know, a lot of people look at that debut album very different. You know, I mean, some people even say classic. You know, now we just told you what we thought about it. And if you have feelings about it that are similar, or you feel like it's a classic, definitely leave your comments below so we can know how you feel about it and see your perspective. But I think, Tone, Big L has the same exact reputation he had in the early 90s when we heard him. I think when you bring his name up, it's not to be disrespected, even though he was dropped, even though his first debut album didn't really pop, and he doesn't have a catalog. His verses alone has carried his name so far that he doesn't get forgotten, man. What do you think Big L's legacy is in 2019?
You know what? When it's like, we think of like writers like, you know, like Langston Hughes or Robert Frost. I mean, yeah, they had long lives, long careers, but I'm just saying their words carried them. You know, in hip hop, you know, unless you got some huge single or some great album, whatever, what else do you have? Well, you have your lyrics as an MC. You know, you've been the MC, understand the importance of words and wordplay and verses and lines. And L is one of the best ever at that. I mean, I can quote some crazy lines from L. You know what I'm saying? I'm so ahead of my time. My parents haven't met yet. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was talking like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, so I mean, the 98 freestyle are all one-liners, but I'm just saying he can say things, and he said things that resonated with other MCs. Like, man, that was a dope line, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or Dude 16 was legendary. That's the reason why on the underground he is an underground legend. You know, same way Jay Dilla is an underground legend. Like, yeah, Jay Dilla is more popular than Death, but when Slum Village and everything was popping off, a lot of people hadn't heard of Jay Dilla before. You know what I mean? A lot of people didn't know who he was. He became famous after he died. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we knew who he was, but Jay Dilla wasn't famous when he was around. You know what I'm saying? The Slum Village was an underground group. You know what I'm saying? And shit like that. So, you know, a lot of people didn't know Jay Dilla was rhyming on comments like Water for Chocolate. That's him rhyming on one of them joints. So, yeah, L is like that. If there's no internet, a lot of young people, but he's an underground legend to New York. He's a New York hip hop legend. If you ask any person 35 and over, even before the, you know, they'll be like, yeah, I know all about Big L. You know what I'm saying? But the internet allowed people outside of the New York region to be turned on to Big L from the east, from lower East Coast, like where I am in the South, to the West Coast. People know about Big L. You know what I'm saying? So his legacy is forever. He's an underground legend, but it's a lot to be desired, unfortunately, because he had 7 years in. But when you die before you really pop, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, like I said earlier, you know, Cameron Come Home With Me made him a superstar. He already had Confessions. It was a good album. He had SDE. That was a great album to me. But when he got on the Rockefeller and then Come Home With Me up with Jay-Z, and you got Old Boy, and you got your Dipset popping there. You got the big production from Just Blaze and everybody. He becomes a star, selling 1 million records. So yes, we didn't get a chance to see Big L, because if Big L would have had a Rockefeller debut, he would have had all the best producers, and Jay-Z would have done a song with Big L on that album.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
It would have been
you know, that was gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? That was gonna happen. So he was gonna be a huge star, but he's gonna always be in the consciousness of hardcore hip hop fans from the East Coast. His name will live on forever. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of it's a very sad story to me, because it goes back to when we talked about Jam Master Jay. Well, Jam Master Jay got murdered by a gun. You know, by another black man. Big L got murdered by a gun by another black man. Whether it's his fault or not, I'm just saying it's still violence in hip hop that you know, people losing their family members and loved ones, and we're losing artists or lost artists that we wish we could have held on to a little bit longer, man. So, you know, it's I was a fan when he came out. I'm not an internet fan. I'm almost 44 years old, so I was in college when Big L was popping, and I walked to the record store and got his album. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I followed his career and stuff like that. So when I heard him getting killed, I was like, damn, man, we just lost Biggie and Pac, and I thought it was dope, and we lost him, and then like a year or so after that, we lost Pun to health issues. And you know, anytime you see any of these people cut short, man, all these guys were in their early 20s.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, man, his legacy will stand as is probably one of the dopest one-line, punchline, just shock value MCs. You know, I know people still study his rhymes because it's accessible now on YouTube, man. And for anyone who hasn't really been up on Big L, you know, put all his stuff in tonight or tomorrow, whatever. And trust me, you haven't heard too much like L, man. He was a special, talented, gifted MC, man.
How do you feel about Big L? How do you feel about his legacy, the stuff that he left us with, situations with his untimely death? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Man, we'd like to know what you think about Big L, because, you know, it's kind of become a topic of debate when people bring him up, man. And I don't think people understand the impact he had. It was almost like a sniper, you know what I'm saying? Like a sniper, it's not like a rocket launcher where it's a big explosion, you hear it go off, you see smoke, you know what I'm saying, and it makes a lot of noise. But let a sniper take out a group of 5 people, you don't have to make a lot of noise. Everybody knows there's a sniper here. You know what I'm saying? So Big L was dangerous, literally. You know what I'm saying? The way he would rhyme and attack beats, that's what he was, man. So salute to Big L, rest in peace. But now we're going to get into the part of the show where we recommend to you something you should go back and listen to besides all the Big L stuff. And my pick for this week is a mixtape by Rhapsody and DJ Drama called She Got Game. 16 tracks. This is my favorite Rhapsody project, hands down.
Okay.
I think mainly because I think a lot of her other albums and mixtapes are a little bit more potent as far as not skill wise, but more so about concepts and stories and things of that nature and the production. But She Got Game is for hip hop fans. She has production from Crisis, Ninth Wonder, DJ Premier. She has every feature you could think of, but it's varied, so it works. So there's Raekwon, there's Wale. The joint with Wale is dope. It's called Dark Knight.
Very dope.
Mac Miller is on there. Rest in peace to Mac Miller. Raheem Devon, the singer's on there. You know what I'm saying? Common's on there. Fonte and Jay Electronica's on there. It's a really dope.
And Ab-Soul and Nipsey Hussle is on that joint.
Yeah, Nipsey Hussle's on there. Like, there's a lot of people featured on there, but it's not one of those projects where, you know, you hear all these features and you like, well, yeah, of course you like it. It's like a compilation. She still stands out. You know what I'm saying? On every track, she's right there with whoever she's spitting with. And you heard the variety of people, you know what I'm saying? That's on here. And the production is dope. The songs are varied. DJ Drama always did an excellent job of just kind of helping to usher out some really dope projects or mixtapes. But yeah, man, Rhapsody, She Got Game. Look it up on Dat Piff or anywhere or streaming sites or whatever. Very dope album. I call it an album, but for me, it's my favorite project from her, and I really feel like she hasn't even matched that yet as far as a project. But definitely check it out. Of course, you're done. Tone, what you think about that Rhapsody joint, and what's your pick for this week?
Oh yeah, man, She Got Game is dope. You know what I'm saying? Very dope. And just real quick, the track on there that Ninth did called Coconut Oil with Raekwon is an amazing track, man. I mean, you can put that on repeat, man, and let it go. Then there's a track on there I really love called You Never Know with Nipsey Hussle and Ab-Soul, man. Very dope. You got that joint, the Jedi Code with Fonte and Jay Electronica. You know what I'm saying? The Dark Knight with Wale is crazy. You know what I'm saying? The beat is insane. You know what I'm saying? And then and Primo laced that other track on there too, man. So very dope project, man, from Rhapsody. I'll say it's one of my top 3 projects from Rhapsody. Yeah, and she has a lot of work, just real quick. She has a lot of work, man. You want to hear some hip hop, man? This YouTube Rhapsody, man, and this track called Man's World. Let me plug that real quick. Put Rhapsody Man's World in YouTube and come talk to me, man. But my pick this week, man, 1994, another great year for hip hop, legendary year. Gang Starr, Hard to Earn. You know, big fan of Gang Starr, Guru, and one of my MCs that I enjoyed a whole lot. They just come off of great albums like, Step Into the Arena and Daily Operation. Obviously, Daily Operation is one of my favorite albums. So, following that up with Hard to Earn is a hard album. It's a perfect track. I mean, perfect title, Hard to Earn. You know what I'm saying? And you got some potent tracks on there. Mass Appeal is one of my favorite hip hop songs of all time. So you got Mass Appeal is on there. Primo Killed Code of the Streets. You know what I'm saying? One of the bangers. I mean, it's a classic New York banging 90s track. So is Mass Appeal. Then, of course, how can you forget DeWick? Which still be played in the clubs right now, 20-some years later. It still sounds fresh in the club. People love it. Lemonade was a popular drink and it still is. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, Greg Nice, Greg N-I-C-E, who can forget it? You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, a few months ago, Nice and Smooth was in town called Ninth. A lot of people back at the high school graduate reunion, and Black Moon, and a lot of people came. And Nice and Smooth was was here. They did their part in DeWitt, and the crowd went crazy. You know
Wow.
what I'm saying? So this many years later, the crowd went bananas and knew all the words to their parts, man. And rest in peace to Guru, man. Gifted Unlimited Rhymes, Universal, Hard to Earn, dope New York 90s album. What can you say, man? What you think about Hard to Earn, man?
Man, well, real quick, I left this out. The Rhapsody joint came out in 2013, if anybody trying to track it down. But Hard to Earn, man. Mass Appeal is probably the one record when I just get in my old head bag. Like I don't even have to hear a verse yet. Soon as that beat hits with the youngsters sample in it, I'm in head nod mode. I'm instantly transported back in time to when that joint dropped. I remember I felt different about it probably around the time when it first dropped, because again, there was a lot of stuff on the horizon. There's a lot of new cats coming, and Daily Operation is my favorite Gangstar album. So when Hard to Earn came out, I felt like I was still playing Daily Operation like it was new. So I wasn't in a space for more, you know what I'm saying? But man, DeWitt, Cold of the Streets, and again, Mass Appeal, just Premier was like even nastier with the beats around that time. Guru knew it because he had a certain confidence and swagger in the way he spit on that album, man. And they knew what the competition was. And Gangstar was stepping up their game, to meet what the game was changing to. Very dope album, man. Like back then, I wouldn't have called it a classic because, I had records that I didn't really like as much. But in recent years, I revisited that joint, and what was I thinking? You know what I'm saying? You listen to that joint today, and it's nuts, man. So definitely go out and check out both of those. Rhapsody with She Got Game with DJ Drama, and Hard to Earn, Gangstar. Rest in peace, Guru. That's going to do it for us for this week on the show. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope that you hit that subscribe button, and then you heard something you like, and you hit that like button, and you said, you know what, I got an opinion, and you went to that comment section, left a comment. But more important than most of those things are that you go and share with people enjoy this kind of content, because that's what it's all about. Again, this podcast is available in video form on YouTube, but also available on iTunes, on Spotify, on Spreaker, on iHeartRadio, on TuneIn, on Stitcher Radio, on SoundCloud.com/Hip Hop Now Podcast. That's going to do it for me, Vegas of Hip Hop Now Podcast, and on behalf of the homie Tone of IntoTheDome.com, we'll see you next week, and you need to, go out and buy some hip hop, man. Go out and support. Check out some of that stuff we mentioned, man. Peace.
Drop it on the random.